But right now, I want to show how we make a class. So, I go up to my top again. I'm not doing content, but now I'm going all the way over to class administration.
You're good to go.
So now we're going to go in and create a class. I'm going to click the create a class button. I can use Google Classroom, which I have done in the past. I've also just used to create new class, and I put all this stuff up on my smartboard, and then my students put in the class code. So I'm going to show you the one that I typically use the most, which is create new class. We're going to pretend this is for next year for me, so I'll be 5th grade, and I will put in my class name. For 2021. And then when I hit next, it will ask me if I want to do a Google sign-in or a roster. A roster takes a little bit of time because you have to type in all your students' names. I prefer to have my students just go to the website and put in the quick code. So I'm going to invite them with Google because they all have Google accounts. And now they can go to the Readworks/student, and right over here is my class code. So when they go to the Readworks page, the page that we talked about when we first started on here, it said teacher login, create an account for teachers, or student login. They would click student login, and that would ask them to sign in with their Google account, which they have connected with them, and then it would say enter your class code, and they would enter this in, and once they did, then what would happen is you would start to see students coming up, and they really don't have a password because they just log in with their Google account. And from there, once I get them in, I can start to assign them to different articles. I can also make my groups within here and create a group like we saw earlier. Maybe I want to make my special ed group, or maybe I want to make, because I team teach, maybe I want to make a group for one half of the 5th graders and the other half of the 5th graders. I have a couple different options. But once I get them in, you'll see it filling up. Just like this one here. This is my current class now. And I have them all administered through Google, and here's my students, and their last login was just last week. And then I can see if I had any groups, which I don't have any groups. And I haven't really used these other ones too, but I definitely, the biggest piece for me is my roster, to making sure that I'm seeing, okay, are they logging in and doing their work? And when I get to somebody like right here, my student here, hasn't been on in 20 days. If they have been here and they haven't been on in 20 days, they should start telling me that I need to talk to them about why they haven't been logging on to Readworks. This is one of the 2 ways that I can check to see if their work is getting accomplished. And I'll show you the other way here when I get to the grading section of their work. So this is how I create a class. Now that I have a class, you know how to give them their assignments. Now I want you to see the last tab that I deal with the most, and that's assignments in progress. And here's where we see the current assignment of Animal Instinct. After they've started the assignment, I can take a peek and see I have 0 of 51 submitted, none of my multiple choices completed, none of the written response are completed, and I have nothing submitted. After they start working on it, you can instantly see as they are completing multiple choice. And it will tell me what % they're getting correct and what ones are getting wrong. I'll show you the last article we did of the different colors of the boxes and what they mean, and how these will change to completed. But I can even see broken down by questions too, what students are doing. Maybe question 1's a really hard question and I get 50%, and I can go back and reteach and see why are they putting Thailand instead of Sri Lanka. And it just gives me a chance to see, was the question bad, or are we missing the evidence? Are we not reading carefully? And I can do that with any of my questions. Go to question 2 and question 3, and I can see everything that's going on with my students as they're taking the actual assessment. I have nothing, they're not doing anything right now because they're all gone. So I'm going to go to assignments in progress. I can even assign a future article. Like when it was with the dates, I could assign something that's going to start next week Monday to next week Friday. And then you would see it here all ready to go. I could assign my whole month's worth of articles if I wanted to. But I'm going to go to past articles because this is the one we just did, the theory of plate tectonics. And I have 48 of 51 because one student moved away and I have 2 students that were in Florida, so they did not complete this assignment. And sometimes too, like here, I have 2 that were gone to Tier 3 reading instruction, so I know that they did not complete it. But I'm going to go into the theory of plate tectonics, or I could click on class results, either one, and I can see how things went. Here is a quick picture of what's going on. So I can see my first student here got 4 of the multiple choice wrong. And I ended up going in and grading their written response, and I'll show you what that looks like. But I can quickly see what students, 56, I might need to sit down with them, 89, 78. Our goal that we tell our students is we want 80% or higher. And I don't even have to figure out the average of them because it takes what Readworks grades for multiple choice, it takes what I scored them for the written response, and then it gives me their average of the 2. And I tell them 80% or higher, we want the honor roll. And this is where I can see, okay, Colin is set, Damien is set, Julian is set, Cayenne I'm going to need to meet with on some multiple choice stuff, Brody, multiple choice stuff, and it looks like some of his written response. Preston, definitely not sure why any of the multiple choice were all wrong. And then you see, so red is incorrect, green is correct completely, orange is partial credit. And for written response, you can give different levels of points. So I'll show you now written response. When I click on the grade these, it will bring me to their written response. So this was a multiple choice. Here's written response. The question was, please write your own sentence using the word boundary. The boundary of my room is 12 feet. I can give correct, 75%, 50%, 25%, or incorrect. Okay? I gave her full credit because she used boundary and it made sense. Colin here did not even use the word boundary, but his sentence definitely did make sense. So I gave him partial credit because if he were to just say, the ball in soccer needs to stay in the boundary lines, and if it goes out, it is a throw-in. If he were to have used that, I would have put it as correct. And now what I can do is I can give a note to Colin and say, this is a great sentence, comma, but you are missing the vocabulary word. And click off of it, and now he has feedback from me on what he could do to improve his written response. If I scroll down a little bit more, you see this one by Brody. It is a very well written response, but it's missing. It was very well because it wasn't his own words. That's why, because he just copy pasted the entire thing in here. And I can tell because he uses enormous pressure and overlying plates. And he uses semicolons and colons the right way, and that I myself as a teacher can't use those the right way, it seems like. So I know that this was very much just straight out of the text. But I'll look at Preston's. No capital at the beginning. He does have a period. He should be using, if it's key vocabulary from the text, it should be spelled correctly. We tell the students that they need to go back in and find their key words and then put them back in there. Or if it's a key word out of the question, it should be spelled correctly because it's right there for you. So some of the feedback I gave him. There are things, and this is where I copy pasted because a lot of it is a comment that I can leave for many of my students. There are things that are stopping your responses from being successful in the 4th grade written responses. It could be missing capitals, no periods, not using keywords from the question, or using evidence from the text. Make sure you check your work constantly. And that's just quick, simple feedback I can leave with my students. And that is when he gets this back from me, he should be able to see, oh, I know what I'm missing, it's a capital. I probably should have more stuff more evidence from the text too. But I really want our students to just start using keywords from the question and evidence. And again, right here, I can say the basketball court is surrounded by a fence. And it doesn't talk about boundary, it doesn't have a capital at the beginning. There's many different things that I can comment on that I could help my student to make it that much better of a response. Down here, missing a capital, I have the same response that I gave to Preston up here. But a lot of these that just kind of gave, I like the word boundary, that's not showing true knowledge of the word boundary. So when I would meet with them in a small group, I would talk about what does it mean and how would you use this in an academic sentence, not just saying I like the word. But I can go back to the beginning. It shows me all their results. It's very quick and easy. Like I said, it's cut my grading down by 80% at least of my time. I used to spend well over an hour every time I'd assign 50 articles, and now I can fly through this pretty quick. And it's accurate too. If I miss a multiple choice because I'm going too quick, with this it's all done completely by the computer. So those are really the key features within Readworks itself of finding content, assignments in progress, and what you can do as an administrator of Readworks.